And good evening. We're reporting live from Government Center outside of City Council chambers. I am Pamela Martin from Fall River Government Television and Fred TV.
And I'm Keith Tebow from FRC Media. Welcome to our joint coverage of tonight's preliminary election, the race for mayor. There are 3 candidates on the ballot, and we'll find out tonight, Pam, at the end of the night, which 2 will move on to the November final election.
That's right, Keith. We saw the ballots today, actually a couple weeks ago when they were first printed. Kelly Susie Young, the election commissioner, shared those ballots with us. Kind of a skimpy-looking ballot, huh? Just
I know.
A little bit on the left side. And people were asking, Kelly says, even right up until today, where were the candidates? So most people were very educated. In fact, she said today went fantastic, and people had few questions regarding the new voting machines.
Yeah, there are new voting machines, but the way people vote is pretty much the same. Instead of connecting an arrow next to the candidate's name, you're filling a little oval, you put it in a machine, wait for it to register, and you move on. So what we hope to see tonight with new voting machines is maybe a little expediency in terms of the results coming through, but it's definitely a technology that has been proven. So we will hopefully reap the benefits of that new technology beginning tonight.
That's right. The flash drives are carried back here to Government Center. Down below, we call it Election Central down there, where Kelly Susie Young, our commissioner, inserts the tiny flash drives and really expects fast results. I mean, you and I have been doing this a long time, Keith. I can remember staying up till 1 a.m. and I was younger then. It was kind of fun, right? But
paper ballots and everything that went on with it. Right.
So that is, even the problems with any paper ballots are eliminated with these new DS200 machines, because what happens is they automatically click back and tell the poll workers that there's been a problem with that ballot. Perhaps someone has made a check mark or a circle rather than filling in the oval.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. We'll see how the ballots are counted tonight. But also tonight, as we know, there are 3 candidates on the ballot for mayor. Incumbent Mayor Jazio Correa seeking a 3rd full term in office. School Committee man Paul Coogan also on the ballot tonight, as is Erica Scott Pacheco. You may remember those names. Those 3 people also ran in the recall election earlier this year. We are going to have cameras at all 3 of the candidate locations tonight. Mayor Correa is at La Page's Seafood, Paul Coogan at Scotty's Pub, and Erica Scott Pacheco at her campaign headquarters on Pleasant Street. We hope to hear from all 3 candidates tonight when the results are in.
Exactly, Keith, and I mean just a little bit of a contentious election season here in Fall River, so we can't predict when these statements from our candidates will come in. But again, we really want to get these numbers to you as soon as possible. We want to be your first stop for election coverage, so keep us in mind too on November when we're back here making a final decision for the mayor of Fall River. And apparently a good turnout today, according to Kelly Susie Young, about 27%. That is just an estimate, so let's let some of the numbers come in and then we'll be able to give you a final count.
Yeah, I know some of the numbers earlier today were above what they were a couple of years ago. 2 years ago on the preliminary election, there was a race for mayor and school committee. You may remember there was a preliminary in that race as well. Only 19% of voters turned out there. We know the interest in this race has been high, so we're expecting those numbers to be higher tonight.
The only niche that went on over at the polls, according to Kelly, was some folks showed up and they hadn't filled out the city census. I can't stress how important that is, and she asks me to stress that along to you viewers, that if you haven't yet filled out the census, you should do that as soon as possible. So it wasn't really a hang-up, but if you had not filled up your census, you had to show an ID, which we do in Rhode Island anyway. If you live in Rhode Island, we know that they've been showing their voter ID, their driver's license, their residency ID for a couple of years now. So that was the only hang-up, not even a hang-up, just perhaps if you left your ID in the car or something, folks had to go back.
A little inconvenience.
Little inconvenience, but not a problem. We did notice some new polling setups over at Tansy as they continue to work on the school. But didn't pose any problem. I found that we went in and out in the lines. Candidates were kept a respectable distance away. And the wardens had everything under control, including the new machines. And I think it was kind of a civics lessons for the students, the elementary students that were having their lunch.
And in many ways, you know, we're talking about the new machines. This is actually probably a good case scenario to test them out, being that there's only one race on the ballot. When we come to November, of course, there'll be 3 races for mayor, city council, and school committee. and they'll put those ballot machines to the test a little more probably in November.
This is when I use the word only. You know, these new machines were approved by City Council and, of course, by administration for $161,000 to buy this new voting system. So only, that is less than the bid came in.
Right.
So $161,000 for the new voting machines that you all saw today at the polls. So I hope you liked them, because the other machines were around for 20 plus years. So.
Well, getting back to the cost of that, Pam, if they last that long, the city got a good deal on the money they spent. Absolutely.
I think they did. In fact, they Band-Aided some of those old machines together. You know, you keep old pieces just for the parts. So, and I think there are 2 extras that were purchased of this new DS200 machine and everything. Again, Kelly Susie Young is such a joy to work with. She really can turn lemons into lemonade when you know that election commissioner. And hectic day. I mean, you want to get this stuff right.
Right, absolutely. And elections are that way. So, you know, one of the things we'll say right now is that we're going to hear from all candidates tonight. We will provide analysis as the numbers come in. I think we all know that this is going to be a very important election. It's been definitely a very high visible election, especially over the past few weeks. And we'll have the numbers as soon as we can, and we'll share them with you.
You got that. All right, so we're signing off for now, and we'll see you again as soon as those numbers come in. Thank you. welcome back.
Welcome back to Government Center. Keith Zebo with Pam Martin. We're starting to see results returning here to Government Center, and we now have 6 of 29 precincts reporting, and Paul Coogan is having a very good night thus far. Paul Coogan, 1,436 votes. Mayor Correa currently in second, 659 votes, with Erica Scott Pacheco at 402. Very close for second and third right now, Pam.
That's right, very close. And we do want to remind folks that these are the unofficial numbers. It's really our goal here at Fall River Government Television and FRC Media to make sure that the results we're posting are accurate and do come directly from the election commissioner, Kelly Susie Young. So again, Paul Coogan, 1,436, Jazel Correa, 659, and Erica Scott Pacheco, 402. That's 6 of 29 precincts in right now, Keith.
Yeah, and obviously, going back to the recall election back in March, Pam, both the mayor and Paul Coogan were 1 and 2 back then. The mayor was reelected in the second half of the recall that night, and as of right now, it looks like they'll be 1 and 2 as well. I know we're all hearing, like you are, some numbers from individual precincts. People are out there reporting those numbers, but as Pam said, we're going to get the numbers, the totals as we have them coming down from Election Central downstairs. We appreciate the numbers that are coming out on social media and through other media entities from precinct to precinct. We'd like to give you the total numbers because at the end of the day, Pam, total numbers is what counts.
Total numbers is what counts. And, let's remember, we also are waiting for these flash drives with the new system. No hiccups, really, from what we hear. The new systems are working well. In fact, fantastic is the quote that we hear from the election commissioner. But again, these police officers still have to arrive right here at Government Center to deliver those flash drives. There's no way around that. But anyway, those numbers are coming in, and 6 out of 29 precincts have been delivered right now. Kelly Susie Young, our election commissioner, anticipates a 26 to 27% turnout. She said the recall had 32%, and we have approximately 50,000 registered voters here in Fall River.
So as we said before, we also have cameras at all 3 of the candidate sites tonight. The mayor is scheduled to be at LaPage's Seafood, right on the Fall River Westport border. Erica Scott Pacheco at her campaign headquarters on Pleasant Street, and Paul Coogan will be at Scotty's Pub. We hope to hear from all the candidates tonight, and we're expecting more numbers to come in unofficially downstairs quicker now as the flash drives are coming in from the different polling places.
Right. It's interesting how, elections come and go, and the system still remains the same as far as the police officers being responsible for making sure that these flash drives arrive. But it's kind of quiet down there right now in Election Central. We just had a look down there. Not a whole lot of precincts coming in right now with just 6 of 29, but there will be that rush as we start to get some of them from the south end moving in. That obviously always take a little bit longer. The busiest precincts today we saw was Laterno and Tansy Elementary Schools. Really busy and a good turnout. I saw around the city that there were a lot of sign holders and just as many folks kind of going in and out. No real lines to say, but there you had maybe a couple-minute wait in some places, 2-3 people ahead of you. So I think people really took this election seriously. No doubt this election certainly garnered enough attention.
Absolutely, and that's why we're going to see the numbers higher than a normal preliminary. As we said 2 years ago, 2017, the preliminary election, there was a race for mayor and school committee at that time, and there were only 19% turnout back then, with more candidates to choose from in terms of the 2 races. So, coming into prior to the recent circumstances here in the city, you probably would have thought that, well, there's only one race on the ballot, may not be a lot of people turning out, but obviously that's not the case. People are making their voices heard in the ballot box today.
And that's important, and we want to remind you too, and we will be posting that both of our channels, Fall River Government Television, Fred TV, and FRC Media, will be holding debates with all of the candidates. And I like to feel at the end of election season, Keith, that we've really done our job and working with the public and the other media outlets to make sure that if folks have any question regarding these candidates, those questions were answered. And so when we send the invite to these candidates, most of the time we get a yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's important for them to get out. They know that we have quite a few viewers that watch us on our channels and online. And anyway, they can get their word out to the voters. I think they appreciate that. whether it's from our community media stations or from the local radio station, local newspaper. They want to get their name out there and their issues out there so voters can make informed choices in November.
That's right. And again, I want to remind you that we're waiting for our official numbers to come from downstairs. It does say unofficial at the bottom of your screen, as you'll see, but these numbers come directly from the election commissioner, not pollsters, not, predictions. They're the official numbers from our election commissioner. So please be patient with us if it takes perhaps a few minutes longer to post those numbers. We will be updating them as soon as they are available.
So I guess right now maybe we'll take another break,
Sure.
and we'll be back when more numbers appear. So thanks for watching.
Thank you.
We are back here at Government Center. We now have more precincts to report, 14 of 29 in, and Paul Coogan still has a very substantial lead in this preliminary election. Paul Coogan has 2,904 votes. Mayor Correa still in second, 1,157 votes, and Erica Scott Pacheco, 847 votes. So definitely looks like a resounding victory tonight for Paul Coogan. How big that's going to be and what that's going to translate in terms of the election in November is still yet to be seen, but definitely a strong polling tonight for Mr. Coogan. Still second and third, still up for grabs.
Second and third still up for grabs, and this is about half the precincts reporting right now. So you're kind of getting an idea of how the night will go. As Keith has mentioned earlier in the broadcast, we do have all of the candidates at their headquarters, and we do expect to hear from them as well later on in the broadcast. So again, we're not sure how long we'll be here tonight, but it is always kind of interesting how you get this rush of numbers that suddenly come in after feeling like you're kind of in a stalemate for a long time.
And that's probably what's going to happen tonight. Once the second set comes in, then there'll be a third and fourth set, and then all of a sudden there'll be 29 of 29, and we're scrambling to read the numbers. Fortunately, there's only one race and three candidates, so it's a little easier for us to do that. Again, if you're just joining us, officially from Election Central, 14 of 29 precincts reporting. Paul Coogan, 2,904 votes. Mayor Correa in second, 1,157. And Erica Scott Pacheco in third, 847 votes. And something that's interesting already, Pam, with the 14 precincts, in the recall election, Erica Scott Pacheco received about 750 votes.
Yeah.
She's already outpaced that tonight with only about half
With
the
only
precincts
half.
in. So.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep watching. We'll have more numbers as they continue to come in to Government Center. Stay with us. Welcome back.
We now have 22 of 29 precincts reporting, and Paul Coogan still holding on to a very substantial lead right now, 6,495 votes. Mayor Correa, about a little less than 300 votes in ahead of third place, Erica Scott Pacheco, the mayor, with 2,003 votes. Erica Scott Pacheco, 1,713. Only 7 precincts remaining. And if it holds out this way, Pam, it's going to be Paul Coogan and Mayor Correa in November.
That's right, in November. And you can see even the numbers, they kind of ran away here. Paul Coogan ran away with this as more and more precincts were coming in. The debates are going to be interesting, and we're going to be sure to follow those debates, as well as both of the channels, Herald News, SAR, are all hosting debates. We're getting the students involved at Fred TV. There'll be panelists for our debate, the students in student government at Durfee High School, and we hope to also involve RPA and Stone School as well.
So as we hear right now, we believe some of the candidates are already speaking at their campaign headquarters, so we hope to get those videos back here very soon so we can share them with you on their thoughts tonight. Again, Paul Coogan is at Scotty's Pub, Mayor Correa is at LePage Seafood, and Erica Scott Pacheco is at her campaign headquarters on Pleasant Street. So 7 precincts left, Pam, and we hope to hear soon. But there's still really 300 votes or so between second and third.
Yeah, there's wiggle room.
There's still some wiggle room there, but I would think that if the trend holds out, it looks like Mayor Correa will hold on to that second position. But again, still 5 precincts to report. We don't know where they're from, so we'll have to wait and see.
Right. So we're also waiting to see on the turnout today. That will be interesting. It was a great day to get out and cast your ballot and do your civic duty. So that will be interesting to see the turnout, and definitely a race that was closely watched, not only by us here in Fall River, of course, but statewide and even New England, as we've seen the news vans that have been parked around Government Center now for a couple weeks. And
you talk about the turnout, those 3 numbers added together is over 9,000, almost 10,000 votes. So there were 88,000 votes in 2017. Right. So even with 7 precincts left, we still have more votes right now than we did in 2017 for the preliminary election. So
yep, not surprising with all the action. Let's run down the numbers one more time. So Mr. Coogan over at 6,495, and Jazel Correa, the mayor, 2,300, and Ms. Pacheco, 1,713 votes. So of course in November it'll be, busier. We'll have school committee and city council to run down as well for you. No referendum questions.
Yeah, and no referendum questions, but one of the things that I think a lot of people in the city have been a little bit concerned about was the lack of number of candidates this year. The mayoral race is the only preliminary election. We have 16 candidates running for city council, 8 for school committee, and those are far below numbers than we've seen even in recent years. And one of the things I've seen some people post on social media, you're probably thinking about the same thing, where back in the 50s, we had 59 candidates running for city council one year. To see only 16, there's maybe a number of reasons why people didn't run for office this year. Obviously, the number of signatures is higher based on the new charter, but it maybe also be the political climate in Fall River, but we don't know. But there's not going to be as many candidates on those ballots this year as we've seen in years past.
Right. So for our November analysis, we'll have some of the former mayors, as we had with the preliminary election, and they'll come in and maybe give us their thoughts on that. Yeah, the political climate here in Fall River is not friendly, and the job has really changed. It's been demanding. I don't know if it's teamwork. Again, all the people on this board have said that they're going to bring teamwork back. That was all the platforms that they talked about throughout Government Center, throughout the city. They wanted to hear from voters and what people were thinking from their neighborhood. So I don't know if that did it. Again, it's a demanding job. It's time consuming and expensive.
And I think our numbers are coming up right now, and maybe we'll have the rest of the numbers in as we head toward the final numbers here.
Of the preliminary election?
Yeah.
Let's write them down.
And we're waiting. So I think this is 29? This is 29 of 29, and it looks like it'll be Paul Coogan and Mayor Jazel Correa in the election in November. Here are the final numbers, unofficially still, from Election Central. Paul Coogan, 8,273 votes. Mayor Correa, 2,777 votes. And Erica Scott Pacheco finished third, 2,171 votes. So between Mr. Coogan and Mayor Correa, you have well over 5,000 votes difference. That's with a 3-person race. So it'll be interesting to see the percentages. My math isn't that good in my head, but definitely Mr. Coogan well outshined the other 2 candidates tonight.
Well, I've got the paper with the math, fortunately, Keith. So.
Oh, you've got it.
Thanks to Scott, who just ran this in. He's laughing, Scott Cabral. Okay. So Mr. Coogan, 62.3%. Mayor Correa, 20.91%. And Ms. Pacheco at 16.35%. And interesting, there were 20 blank ballots cast. I had to check that out because I thought the machines were able to kind of notify the wardens if someone, say, checked the oval or didn't quite fill the oval in or submitted a blank ballot. So
yeah, from what I understand, it would ask the voter if they wanted to take the ballot back or they also have the option, I believe, to cast that ballot. So maybe some people just wanted to send a symbolic no vote for anyone and submitted that ballot blank. So that was also, I think, still a possibility with this new system.
Well, we had a total of 13,310. That's 13,310 ballots cast here in the city of Fall River. So let me move out of the way again. If we can bring those numbers back up on the screen. Take it away, Keith.
Yep, 8,273 votes for Paul Coogan, Mayor Correa in second, 2,777 votes, and Erica Scott Pacheco in third, 2,171. And you bring up that 13,310. I just happen to have the number of voters who cast ballots in the recall election. That was 13,798. So a little less than the recall election, and the recall election was 32%. So at 13,300, probably almost close to 30%, I would think.
That's right. So it's been close to what we saw in the recall election. And again, in November, we found our two candidates. Well, you never know what's going to happen, right?
Absolutely.
You never know what's going to happen between now and November. If there's one thing in the political scene that I think these candidates and all candidates have learned, it's stay with the fight. And I can suspect that we may still see very strong campaign from Mayor Correa.
Absolutely. And, the preliminary election is a snapshot in time. It gives the candidates some feedback on what they need to do moving forward. I'm sure the Paul Coogan camp is extremely pleased with their turnout tonight. And Mayor Correa, even though he's pleased, he's moving on. He's still not elected. But he also realizes probably now that he's got some work to do between now and November before that final election. So I'm sure he'll be out there looking to close that gap as much as he can to hopefully turn that around. But just looking at the run numbers tonight, Pam, that's a tough number to overcome if you're just looking at it from any aspect. That's a big gap between number one and number two. Yeah,
it certainly seems unlikely. But again, it's the wait and see kind of time here in Fall River. So we are going to focus on our upcoming debates. As we know, the candidates will be focusing on their platforms. And this is also a time for them to reflect on what precincts they need to do better at, and more door-to-door knocking, more events to get their message out.
And we know our videographer who was at Paul Coogan's campaign just came in, so we'll hope to hear from the winner very soon. And we're ready for that? If we're ready for that, let's take it. Let's hear from Paul Coogan.
How's everyone doing? Are we fired up? Are we fired up? Listen, today was a great day in the city of Fall River. And I can say for a long time during this campaign that it's really been about you, the hardworking people of the city of Fall River. See, we're better than the image that's been portrayed. We're more trustworthy, we're more hardworking, we have more integrity than we've been given credit for. But tonight starts a new chapter, because we're halfway there. But we need everybody's support. This campaign is about you. And tonight we've sent a message loud and clear that come November, we're ready to take this city back. And so I want you all to join in welcoming our next mayor come November, Paul Coogan.
All right, guys, let me get through this so we can do some celebrating. And some of you are supposed to be going to work tomorrow, and we want to make sure everybody leaves at a decent time. You don't know how much this means to me. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I probably wouldn't be standing here if I was judged strictly on my political skills, but I'm here because and I thank you for all the trust you placed in me. Shakespeare once said, "What is a city but its people?" He was right. Fall River is not just the buildings, government center, the mills, the Braga Bridge. It's about the people. Louder? You're telling me you can't hear it back there? Okay, sorry guys, sorry. It is and always will be about the people in this city. The thousands of good people whose trust, hard work, and votes allow me to stand here tonight in front of you, humbly thanking you again. For the past few months, Judy, I better bring her up here now. Come on up, Jay. Yeah. We have traveled all over the city. We made a lot of new friends. We reconnected with some old ones, and I listened to them. And they told me stories about themselves, about their families, and about what hits them the most in their heart. And I heard all the stories, and I do want to talk briefly about a few. Fall River's forgotten people. To the thousands of senior citizens who spent their lives working and building our city, you're important. Police, fire, EMTs, every day they go out and put their lives at risk for us. You're important. The parents who want nothing more than good schools and safe streets. You're important. The taxpayers who want to know that their hard-earned money is being spent wisely. Very important, and you are important. And how about our often forgotten city employees who throughout all these political storms you see with people losing their jobs and getting fired, they stayed professional and kept doing their jobs. They're important. Our veterans who answered the call and placed their lives on the line every single day they were in the service to protect and serve all of us. The many students that I got to know over my long career at Durfee, and there they are. You will never know what a privilege it was to work with those kids, and I still love them, and I still listen to them today. And I never had kids of my own, so you'll never know how much they really mean to me. But I did want to kill some of them. All right, cut that, please. That's right. Okay. Tomorrow, we start a very tough campaign for the final election in November. We are not going to change. I need you, and I humbly ask each of you to stay with me in the weeks ahead. We have work to do. You can enlist the aid of your family and friends. Let's finish this job and repair our city now. People rightfully deserve and demand better leadership, honesty, and more openness from their mayor. They deserve someone who is not in it for the power, for the money, is in it, but because they are just like you. And guess what? We have had enough in this city right now. I love this city and its people. I understand them, I respect them, and I share their values. And I will continue to do that. I said at the start, this city is about the people in it. I owe the people of Fall River a tremendous debt tonight. Many of you placed your faith in me. I promise I will never let you down, and together we will repair this great city with a win in November. I know we can do it, right? We are going to win in November with your help. Again, let's have a few laughs tonight. I can't tell you how much I respect you guys and how much you mean to my wife and I and what you've done for me. I felt like I let you down in the last one. I didn't let you down. I didn't let you down tonight. On to November. Thank you very much again, Fall River.
That's Paul Coogan in his victory speech tonight from Scotty's Pub, and resounding victory tonight, Pam, for Paul, and he has every right to have confidence heading into the November election.
I think he does. We can see by the numbers that we read off to you, 29 of 29 precincts now in. Paul Coogan, 8,273 votes total. That's 29 of 29 precincts. He is a former educator, of course, at Durfee High School. You heard him talk directly to the taxpayers. He says he respects the people that voted for him, and he wants to bring everyone into the fold. He praised the city employees for staying professional despite some of the distractions that have been heading on for the past few weeks. He reiterated again that he is not in this race for the power or the money, and he will never let you down. Those are his two quotes that he, I imagine, will be hearing and saying a lot more come November.
And looking at his victory tonight, 62%, 62.3% of the vote in a three-person race. That is extremely impressive when you have that kind of a margin of victory with more than two people on the ballot. And if you start looking ahead to the final election, you would think that just because of the frustrations of many city residents over the past year or so, that the 2,100 votes of Erica Scott Pacheco, you would think that maybe most of those will probably also go to Mr. Coogan as an anti-Jason Correa vote. We'll have to wait and see. So you would think that if that would be the case, that if you just, again, extrapolated everything out the way we have it now, that we could be looking at a very large win for Paul Coogan, potentially in November.
Potentially. And Erica Scott Pacheco did run a very active campaign, and she started in November with the recall election and said, you know, some people say to her, start at city council. And she said, why? I'm qualified to be mayor. So hats off to Erica Scott Pacheco. She stayed in the race again and promised even back then that she would remain in the race for mayor if it came down to it. So no shame there. Good for her.
Absolutely. As we wait to hear from the other candidates tonight, we did have cameras as well at Mayor Correa's headquarters at LePage's, and also Erica Scott Pacheco on Pleasant Street here in Fall River. Hope to get those videos back very, very soon. But as of right now, again, the storyline tonight, it'll be Paul Coogan and Mayor Correa running off for the race for mayor in November. Paul Coogan, a convincing victory tonight, 62.3% of the vote. 8,273 votes. Okay, Mayor Correa, 2,777. And Erica Scott Pacheco, 2,171 votes. So we'll, I guess, stand by, and we'll come back in a few moments when we hear more from the other candidates. So we'll be right back. Back here at Government Center, we do have some more video in from the scene. Let's hear now from our third place finisher tonight, Erica Scott Pacheco.
I really want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Give yourself a round of applause. Turn to the person next to you and say, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Turn to your other neighbor. I appreciate all of you. Tonight we came up short, but I think that the 2,100 votes that I earned send a huge message, especially to Jazel Correa and those who are contributing to the corruption in our city. This is our Fall River. This is our city, and there is no place for corruption. That was the message that I ran on to restore respect and justice, and we came up short, but I am so honored and proud of every person in this room. Why? Because we fought hard. We tripled the amount of votes that we had a few months ago. I have never held office before. I knew this would be a huge uphill battle, but I did not get to where we are tonight, the vote total that we are, alone. I got there by standing on the backs of every one of you, and that's why I'm so honored to be here with my team and my family tonight. To Jazel Correa, there is no way that you can win this election in the fall. Many of your supporters came over to my side. One of your old supporters phone banked for me today. I heard time and again that people cannot tolerate corruption. They are sick and tired of it. They want their tax dollars responsibly used. Sorry, I'm not even looking at you guys. Okay? You're over there. And so, I was talking to the people at home. Now I'm talking to my team. We could not have sent the message that we sent without each and every one of you, which is why I just stand with gratitude. And I know that together, we did not get the outcome we wanted, but we will get the goal that we want for our city, which is an end to the corruption, an end to the good old boys networks, an end to the pay to play, an end to who you know and not what you know. We will continue. We have laid the foundation tonight, and we will keep on. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that supported me, everyone that donated to me, everyone that volunteered with me, everyone that knocked a door, everyone that wrote a thank you letter. I'm honored and I'm humble, and I still stand with you to restore respect and justice to our city. Thank you, everyone.
Third tonight, I believe we also have video from White's of Westport. LePage's Seafood with Mayor Correa.
The numbers are still going to come through. First and foremost, a giant thank you to all the supporters out there, people that were out there from 7 a.m. right till the end, 8 p.m. Big round of applause for every volunteer that was at our polls today. Thank you very much. People bring food, people bring signs, water, coffee. I don't know how many Danishes I had today at the time. Gotta work that off tomorrow.
That's right. At the gym, baby.
Or tennis. We'll see. We'll see what's fun. But thank you, thank you, thank you. So many faces in the room have been here. I know we've been running every single year for the last 3 years. Starting way back in 2016, when we won our first election against then former district attorney and former mayor Sam Sutter. We ran on a promise to eliminate the $120 trash fee. And the team at Government Center, why don't we give a big round of applause?
Yeah!
We made it happen. So that was promise number one fulfilled. Then we had another election against former city councilor Linda Pereira, and we had an unbelievable night. And we were on a total high of just an incredible landslide victory. And we had a second promise, the promise to get rid of the pay-as-you-throw purple bags. And we went into that election, and we worked hard, and we won. We won big. And that was in 2017. And that was in 2017. We won in 16. We won in 17. And then we went into a recall election in 18. And we won that election. When people counted us out then, and people said you couldn't eliminate bags, and you couldn't eliminate the fees, and you couldn't eliminate the stormwater fee, we went forward to win a third election 3 years in a row.
Supporters tonight, Pam, and
Right.
he'll move on to face Paul Coogan in the election in November.
That's right. So stay tuned for information on the upcoming debates that will be hosted by Fred TV, Fall River Government Television, as well as FRC Media. Thank you. Remember, if you haven't responded to the census in Fall River, please do that. And we'll see you again right here in November. I'm Pamela Martin.
And I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great night.